The intention of this video is to help contractors understand how to pay under Annual Wage Order 26 currently in effect. This video is dated August 9th, 2019. Let's first understand how we got here. In 2018, a political movement to repeal the Missouri Prevailing Wage Law was in full force. The AGC of Missouri, along with other industry partners and stakeholders, worked together to find an imperfect compromise from full repeal. Some significant changes are: contractors must report all work hours and wages/fringes on a regular basis. Labor unions and other third parties can no longer report. So it's important and imperative that contractors are reporting their hours on a regular basis, and we have a separate tutorial on the AGC website for that. Occupational titles were consolidated from over 40 down to 20. So if there's any confusion on occupational titles, please refer to the list of occupational titles in their descriptions. Wages for an occupational title in a county will only be prevailed if there are at least 1,000 hours reported by contractors cumulatively. So one contractor does not have to report 1,000 hours, but multiple contractors put together would equal 1,000 or plus hours. Prevailing wages will now be an average of all wages reported for an occupational title in a county. If under 1,000 hours are reported for an occupational title in a county, wages for the occupational title in a county will revert to a new public works contracting minimum wage. Prevailing wage projects only apply on projects over $75,000. Now let's talk about how to pay. First, you need to identify which type of construction you are paying for prevailing wage. Please feel free to pause this video to read the description of each building construction or heavy and highway construction. In order to understand how to pay, the first thing you need to decide is which county your project is in. I'm using an example of St. Louis City, which is its own county, under Annual Wage Order 26. The first page you'll see has the building construction rates. The second page that you'll see has the heavy construction rates. There are some notes underneath this page, which again you'll find if you pull up the correct county for which you're performing work. One thing to note, it says if a worker is performing work under heavy construction project with an occupational title that is not listed on the heavy construction rate sheet, use the rate sheet that occupational title as shown on the building construction rate sheet. The next thing to note, and this is specifically where contractors are starting to have issues and concerns and questions, is on overtime pay. Overtime pay is now described for all work performed on Sunday or holiday, not less than twice the prevailing hourly rate of wages for work of a similar character in the locality in which the work is performed, or the public works contracting minimum wage, whichever is applicable, shall be paid to all workers employed by or on behalf of any public body engaged in the construction of public works exclusive of maintenance work. So essentially, they're describing when you're paying double time pay, and those are on Sundays and holidays. The next paragraph explains when time and a half is applicable. For all overtime work performed, not less than 1 1/2 the prevailing hourly rate of wages for work of a similar character in the locality in which the work is performed, or the public works contracting minimum wage, whichever is applicable, shall be paid to all workers employed by or on behalf of any public body engaged in the construction of public works, exclusive of maintenance work or contractual obligation. For purposes of this subsection, overtime work shall include work that exceeds 10 hours in one day and work in excess of 40 hours in one calendar week. And a 30-minute lunch period on each calendar day shall be allowed for each worker on a public works project, provided that such time shall not be considered as time worked. And then they've listed out the holidays. And again, what Sunday for double time. Now let me go into an example using a union contractor. The top portion of this sheet, again staying in St. Louis City, shows the prevailing wages for St. Louis City. The bottom portion of this shows the union collective bargaining agreement wages. If you are a union contractor and you are signatory to either of these crafts, you have to pay the higher of the wage that you're obligated to pay. In this case, at this current time in the city of St. Louis, the union CBA agreements for the carpenters, cement masons, ironworkers, laborers, and operators are all the higher rate. But when we go into overtime pay, you'll see that that adjusts. Because some of the crafts in the CBA, the fringes are paid at straight time, you'll note that it is actually the prevailing wage rates that are higher costs. Therefore, in order to stay within either your labor contract or prevailing wage laws, it's important that you are paying the higher of the rate. At this time, again, it's the cement masons and the laborers that the prevailing wage overtime rates are to be paid, and not the collective bargaining rates that are to be paid. The other thing to note is that you'll be paying the fringes according to your contracts. Any excess on the cement masons and laborers, you'd be then paying to the worker in their check. It's also important to know when overtime is considered. As we read earlier, the overtime after 10 hours in a day is applicable for prevailing wage, or for 40 hours in a week. It's important to note when those are to occur. Now I'm going to give an example of heavy highway work in Cole County, where our other office is located, as an open shop contractor. And as you see here, we have the rates that have been established in Cole County for the heavy rates. I'll note first the asterisk with the electricians shows that they used the minimum wage and not a prevailed wage in that county. As far as the wages and fringes payments, that is going to vary by contractor, if you're an open shop contractor, on how you pay your benefit structure. But the total package has to be at least the amount shown here. When we go into overtime, the total package, not just the wages, is 1.5 times. So therefore, again, it will vary depending on your benefits package. That cost will be what it is, but then the additional cost in the overtime would go into the wages. We have additional links on the website that may be of help to you. The actual DOL website, https://labor.mo.gov/prevailing wage-wage, is where you can find how to calculate prevailing wage, or I should say how the department calculates prevailing wage. You can find the annual wage orders, and again, you need to find the annual wage order in the right county. The prevailing wage rules. So if there's any questions on how things are operating, how things were calculated, or if you have any questions about occupational titles and how they should fall, they would be in the rules. Again, on our website, we currently have a video that details how to report hours so that we can maintain a prevailing wage in the state. And it's incumbent on all contractors, wherever they're working, to record those hours with the state in order to maintain a prevailing wage. And again, this is an imperfect system, but it's a system that allows for wages to be prevailed in each county for each occupational title. What's important to note again is in the overtime is that what is different than possibly before was the rates of pay on overtime with fringes, and making sure that if you are a union contractor, you understand if the union collective bargaining agreement is what you should be paying or the rates as, or if it is the prevailing wage rate that is under the definition of overtime rate that makes sense to pay. Again, as an open shop contractor, you're going to be paying attention to making sure that prevailing wage rates are paid accordingly in the county in which you are paying, and making sure that wages and fringes are totally paid for and not just one or the other. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to anyone at the AGC. This is Anthony Lancia. Feel free to reach out to me directly with any questions. We are here to help. Thank you so much, and good luck with this process.